Hello and welcome to Discovering Grayslake, unveiling the stories and people that make our town so unique. I'm your host, David Woll, and I'm thrilled to bring you this new podcast that explores fascinating stories and experiences of local business owners and community leaders, right here where we call home. Grayslake Rehabilitation Center is a community-based private practice physical therapy provider. Do you know they have 13 clinical providers with various levels of specialties, including orthopedics, sports, neurology, vestibular, geriatrics, pelvic floor, and aquatic? What? Did I just say they have a pool? Well, they do, and it's the largest indoor warm water pool in Lake County, featuring 2 underwater treadmills and swim currents, and recently added clinical treatment specialties, in layman's terms, shockwave. They have both radial and focus units that are the newest tool in regenerative medicine, available to everyone. They pride themselves on the most current and up-to-date specialized care to keep you moving. If you're looking for physical therapy, make sure to see our friends at Grayslake Rehabilitation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Grayslake. I am recording once again from Agora. I know if you listen to the show that you should know about Agora by now, but we're on the corner of Center Street and Atkinson. Agora is a co-working place, so if you guys are looking for a place to get your office out of that house for a day, for a week, for a year, or even a lifetime home, Agora is a wonderful place to go. So talk to Luke over here, good dude, and they will take care of everything. So today, see, I feel like there's some guests I have on where there's the restraining order is not still active, is it?
No.
Okay, good.
No, I took it off for an hour, so you only get an hour.
Okay, cool. So let's start the clock. I'm with Tim Rafferty today. How are you, buddy?
All right. It's about time you had me on here.
I know. Well, I haven't asked you.
I guess the crossing guard in the middle school was busy.
We were trying to
actually, to be honest, you've asked me for like a year and a half, and just the thought of spending an hour with you alone in a room just wasn't appealing. But
if I had a nickel for every time, I'd have a shitload of nickels.
Yeah, I heard people even ask to be on this show.
They do, but we don't.
What's wrong with that?
We don't know. We have not kept track of how many people actually leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why it's kind of like a padded room.
Halfway through a podcast and like, I'm
not dealing with this crap. So the reason I've been after you is the people in the community who know why I want to have on the show. But one thing I like to bring to light to people.
I owe money.
That's right. You've been a staple of our community. You've done tons of service from business to helping everything out. So I don't know, where do you want to start? Let's start with Rudolph's. Okay.
Okay.
So tell me how Rudolph's gets started. Is that a family business all the way back for you?
Yeah, the business itself was started by my father-in-law's uncle. His name was Irving Rudolph. I call him Rudy. And he was kind of a guy that, did a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But he had he actually had where Whitney Street was. It was like a little mom and pop counter and a grocery store on the other side. And then I believe he bought the property on Center in 83 and slowly built and added on and stuff like that. He originally had the same type of operation as where Whitney Street was in Libertyville. It was called Rudolph's Drive-In.
Really?
And we used to even, I grew up in Libertyville, and we used to go there like after Little League football and stuff, and he may have been one of the first guys to like throw a burger out a window there too, because he had this window near the cook counter. So that's the word, but who knows?
That's awesome, though.
That was probably back in the late 40s. I've got pictures of the place when they were building it and stuff.
Really?
But I'm not sure. But anyway, he started each of the businesses. There was it started out on the end there by Center in 83. It was like a mercantile, general merchandise, but people called it the shoe store. Then there was an art gallery, there was a pharmacy, and then furniture store. And when I started at the furniture store back in 75, like 50 years ago even.
Wow.
Yeah. I was 2.
Right.
It was more like they bought out when the hotels were remodeling. They took the old furniture. It was more like secondhand stuff or seconds.
Okay.
And my father-in-law bought it from him in 75 and slowly turned it into a regular furniture store. And he bought the building from his uncle in 79, I think it was. And as each of the different businesses went out, we just kept expanding. So now we have the whole corner and added a warehouse. It's like 22,000 square feet.
It's 22,000 square feet.
You've been in there, but the rooms are so broken up you wouldn't realize it,
Right.
But Ross Anzucci did for like the Village Center they do that dollhouse feel.
Yes, that.
And even I was like, holy crap, we got a lot of stuff in here.
Yes.
And we're not like the car dealers. We have to pay for it when it comes in. I mean, we have to pay for it. We're not on like any plans or anything.
So you have to own everything in there.
We own everything that's in there.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah. So since from all the way back there. So when did you start working there? When you were 2 in 1975?
Yeah. So just out of the crib. No, I met my wife, her dad owned Rudolph's. We grew up in Libertyville, and I met her my senior year in high school. And it was an interesting story as to how we met too. But anyway, her dad owned this store, so I was going to go. I graduated from Carmel. I was going to go to Notre Dame. So for that, I think that summer, and like summers when I came home or any time home for spring break, I would work for him. And then in like 77, I think it was, or 78, I think it's 78, his sister-in-law quit, and she did the books and stuff. And he's like, do you want to come work for me full time? I'm like, shit, yeah, because I had a really grindy job in Libertyville at a steel factory, and it just,
be a little bit more cushy job, right?
It was a lot cleaner. I used to come home filthy with oil and stuff on it. It was just it paid great, and I could work some good overtime, make good money, but this gig
that
was
job
a lot
was
better.
Right. So you take that
Plus
job,
a family,
Sure, of course.
And then that's how that started, and I've been there ever since. My wife came on. I don't even remember when she came on later on, and then sooner or later we ended up buying it from him about 25 years ago.
Okay.
And becoming the owners ourselves.
That's a long time. Long time for all that.
We're taking a quick break just to say hello because everybody knows Nano, and Nano knows real estate. And actually, I believe that's the name of her Instagram page. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or know somebody in the market for a home, contact Nano from Baird & Warner. She's a Grayslake girl helping out Grayslake people.
It's a long time to stay at one job.
Yes, it is.
Many a time I felt like not going in, but
All right, you said an interesting story about how you meet your wife, so I have to hear this.
Well, like I said, we grew up in Libertyville, and it was I was across the street at a friend's house. Well, a friend happened to be these two girls pull up on their 10 speeds.
Uh-huh.
And they came to see him because one of the girls, which wasn't my wife, liked this kid. Well, the kid happened to be Kurt Rouse, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with the Rouse murders in Libertyville. Well,
yes.
He's the one that introduced us.
Nice.
And it was funny because he was a great kid. He was a good kid. But he took us through that. When they moved out to that house on Milwaukee Avenue, across from the old Forest Preserve headquarters. And he took us through that house and stuff. It was kind of weird house. But
I'm sure.
Then later on, like in 1980, you hear about all the murders and stuff. And like a year after that, we were driving to my mom's house back in the old neighborhood where we used to live together. And this car was following us. And we get to the house, and the car pulls up, and it's Kurt. And he walks up to my oldest son, Sean, who at the time was about 2, I think, or 3. And he's like, "Oh, I'm indirectly responsible for you." It's like, so it's kind of weird that It was interesting growing up across from that family.
Oh, I'm sure.
Before they moved, but
wow,
kind of weird.
Wow. So that's how you guys met. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you say that you went to Carmel?
Yeah, I went to Libertyville my freshman year.
Okay.
And my dad had enough of that. Uh-huh. My older sister was going to Carmel. My older brother was going to Libertyville, but he's like, yeah, you're going to Carmel.
Yeah.
I got into a couple little minor things.
Yeah, they're all minor.
I get 2 weeks into the school year, I got caught smoking in the boys' room at a school dance and got suspended.
Well, and that time was that?
It was at the big building in Libertyville. Right. We went to the Brain. They called it the Brainless building, the Brainer building. But yeah, he, and then years later, I said I would tell a story that my dad took me out of Libertyville and put me in Carmel because of the trouble I was getting in, the people I was hanging. He said, no, that's not why. He said, you were getting a poor grade in a class that I know you should be getting A's in as one of your better subjects. And I don't remember what it was, English or whatever. Certainly wasn't math. But anyway, he's like, I called the teacher, and the teacher said, what are you worried about? He's getting a C. That pissed him off. And he
really?
And he was right. I went to my first semester at Carmel. I ended up getting straight A's.
Nice. Well, I'm a Carmel grad too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I graduated.
You were quite a few years behind me.
Yeah, I was a couple.
They still kept the girls and the boys separate.
Okay, and I would say my sophomore year is the first time that we actually got to have. I think we had lunch with girls, but then they started intermingling right when I was there.
Yeah, we might have been able to.
In like 80.
Walk by them and touch them,
Yeah, I think there's a little frowned upon during our years, but that's okay. with consent, of course.
Well, yeah. That was, yeah.
So I want to talk about. So I went to recently. I was at one of the chamber events, and they're giving awards out and everything. So you have been part of your service to Grayslake. It runs very deep for a very long time.
Long time.
So, like, when did you get involved chamber-wise? Or do you even know?
I retired from the chamber board. It was a year ago, January. They had the dinner, and we couldn't remember. I mean, it went that far back. I think they didn't have the stone and chisel to put the records on or whatever. But I think I figured out just by certain other dates that it could have been like 35 or 37 years at the time.
Wow.
And that was, and
that's chamber board.
That was chamber board, yeah.
Wow.
I think I was president. They said 3 times, but I only remember 2, but it could have been, who knows.
Sure.
I lost a coin flip one time to Steve Lawrence.
Is that the truth?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
A coin flip for you and Steve Lawrence.
Mike Ellis calls us into his office, and he's like, one of you two got to be president of the chamber, And Steve was working, I think, for Poe and Waukegan at the time. And Mike Ellis's office was about the size of this here.
Right.
And so the door was always open. And around the corner, the village clerk sat in a little open area. And we're in there arguing about who's going to do it. And Steve's like, no way, I can't do it. No way, no way. And so Mike says, what if we flip a coin? And Steve agreed to it. Where we both look at each other like, dumbass.
Right.
So Mike flips a coin, and Steve called it, and Steve won. I guess, I won't call it winning, but it came up tails or whatever. He called, and he's jumping around like he just sold $1 million house. He's like, yeah. I'm like, geez, I guess you really didn't want to do it. So I had to do the presidency then. But the funniest thing is the village clerk walks around the corner and sticks her head in the office and says, it's nice to know how the major decisions are made in town here.
All that coin flips.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So that's how that went.
Yeah, and man, has he been a great man in our community as well.
Oh,
holy smokes.
He's been a good friend. And it's people like that make you hang out for 35 years.
Yes.
Him, Mike Ellis, guys like that, deep down in their heart, they're not in it for themselves. They're in it because they love the village. And
hey, neighbors, this is Bill Mock with the Grayslake Chamber of Commerce. And if you're looking for a network of hard-working, customer-focused, and generally friendly local businesses who are dedicated to helping each other succeed, then I'd like to invite you to check out and consider joining our Grayslake Chamber. We offer our members so many ways to advance their businesses through social networking events, special event sponsorships, informative lunch and learns, and the ever-popular after-hours mixers. Come see why we say we're the new wave of business here in Lake County.
Looking for a place where there's always something happening? Welcome to the Grayslake Village Center. Whether you're planning a family outing, a date night, or a fun night out with friends, the Village Center has something for everyone, year-round. Enjoy a fantastic mix of restaurants, unique retail shops, and exciting events that bring the community together. And just steps away, you'll find Central and Gelatin Parks, home of the library, aquatic center, skate park, senior center, and numerous recreational opportunities. Whew, that's a mouthful. So if you're looking for something to do, come explore, dine, shop, and play right here in the heart of Grayslake. Find out more at GrayslakeVillageCenter.com and go check them out on social media and give them a like, give them a follow.
Yeah, because there's no way anybody would stay doing those jobs.
no.
Because a lot of the things, a lot of the times it seems like they're thankless jobs as well. You do a lot of work that maybe goes unseen.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of these events they put on and everything, and then it's not just the day of the event. It's like 15 meetings before that. A lot of them early in the morning, which is not my favorite time of the day.
I've heard that.
But yeah, and it's a lot of work just to just to put that stuff on, and
so
a lot of commitment.
Yeah, a lot of commitment. And so you've through all of those years, you've got to see a lot of things.
I know where all the bodies are buried.
You know where all the bodies. That's what the new parks.
In between that, I was also a village trustee for 9 years.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I got appointed to fill a vacancy for 1 year, and then I had to run for 2 4-year terms.
Wow. Okay, so you like this kind of stuff. You like being of service to your community.
Yeah. There's not too many people know, but I was like this close to running for mayor too.
Really?
It talked the mayor at the time who was going to run, Marv Smith, out of running, and I was going to run. And then Pat Carey announced that she was going to run, and I'm like, I'm out, because I knew she'd be 10 times better than I would.
Okay.
Because it's not a popularity contest. It's
who's going to do the best for the village.
It's not that I didn't care about the village, or but I felt not that she would have won anyway, but she probably would have kicked my ass anyway. But I felt that she was so much better qualified than I was to be mayor. Oh. And like I said, it's not a popularity contest. And her commitment was there too. Obviously, she's a great lady.
Yeah. And
I told her that story one time. I said, and she's like, really? And I said, yeah. And she had this look on her face, and I said, you would have kicked my ass. And she goes, I don't know about that.
Really?
And it was nice of her to say, but
sure,
she probably would have.
Now, so you don't decide to run for mayor, did you stay on, and were you a trustee when she was the mayor as well?
Yeah,
okay.
I served with her.
Great.
She was a great mayor.
Wow. Okay, so looking back through all of these things, I always like to compare things. A lot of people listen to the show, I see demographics and all these things, to see how our town has changed. What do you, from 37 years or whatever you're doing, what would you say some of the biggest things that we've done as a community, from chamber-wise to village-wise, that may have made the biggest difference in our town?
Well, one thing I think over the years, I think they decided to be the community that we are. That I hate calling it a bedroom community, but it's a great place to raise families and stuff like that. They made a strong commitment to the heart of the city, the downtown, and they're constantly working on that. Obviously, you'll see more of that in the next month. When they when I was on the board, I always like describe it to Mike Ellis like taking the town through its terrible twos, like raising a kid,
Right.
because all these subdivisions were coming in at the time I was there, and there was a lot of people that were, well, I'm here now, I don't want anybody else, that I got mine, I want Grayslake for myself type of thing, and a lot of people were against growth and stuff like that. Well, the one thing I can say is being on the board at that time is they raked these developers through the coal pretty good. I mean, they did a good job of, you want to come in here, you're going to go by our rules. We're not going to give in to your BS and all that kind of stuff. So I think they've done a great job with the whole planning in the community, with the bike paths and everything, connecting all that stuff. It's a great place to live, and you've mentioned it before. The first thing all the realtors do is drive down Center Street.
Yep. And it's amazing, and the way that everything's constructed, even with like when we talk about like old days, like me and John Bowman talking about riding our bikes back over
right.
In Tree Island and the plateau and all that stuff. So you were trustee when like West Trail, Harrion Farms.
Yeah, my in-laws actually, they actually had the last house on Harvey Street, and it was just field back there.
Yeah.
And when they started developing West Trail, it was kind of nice because I would ride my motorcycle through the dirt out to 120 because I lived off of Allegheny and 120. I didn't have to go all the way around to Lake Street and back down Harvey and stuff. But we watched that whole thing. Matter of fact, they built one of the first houses in West Trail. My in-laws. And Noah Seidenberg bought it from them and redid it, and now it's totally different from what they built. Wow. Kevin Waldstrom's dad built it. Matter of fact, Kevin worked on it, I think, when he was a little kid. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, growing up, it was funny because there's this, the level of prestigious places. So if you lived on like where you're talking about your house, like Upper Harvey.
Yeah, they called it Upper Harvey.
Upper Harvey.
Upper Harvey.
Right, but that was a big deal, like, because my parents were looking for a house.
There was no. I mean, and then they built Avon on the Prairie.
So that's where we moved.
Yeah.
Like 2 years after it was built.
And I remember we were at a village board meeting one time, and one of the guys that was arguing about growth or something lived in there. And Bob Russell, who was on the board with me,
I knew Bob very well.
He says to the guy, what are you talking about growth? We let you in. I used to hunt in the field where your houses are, so he'd add a little perspective to people,
Wow.
It's
funny. This is the first time that I've heard Bob Russell's name said on the show in about 120 episodes, which is funny.
He's a great guy. He's still kicking. He's in a nursing home, I think, towards Lake Zurich.
Wow.
His daughter, one of his daughters actually went to school with my wife, so we know him pretty well, and he calls me every once in a while out of the blue.
Wow.
We went to his 90th birthday party out in Barrington.
That's
Shores,
crazy.
Like, I think me, Rob, and Lou Frank were there.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about your crew, like when you're going through stuff. I always like, this name dropping of Grayslake. Like back through that, like who are the other trustees or some of these guys that, obviously Ellis has been a very good friend of yours for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So, like some of the other guys that you think have made a really big difference that you've gone through Ellis with.
Originally when I started getting involved, it was guys that made an impression on me were like Bud Murray, Ed Hall, who used to own Parkway, and those guys. They were the older guys, and they were looking for guys to pass this stuff on, kind of like I did now. I'm too old to do.
Right.
I'm the old guy now, So it was guys like that. There were some great people on the board with me. Like I said. Guy named Phil Harris was good. He was on the EDC and he was on the board. Who else? There was a guy named Randy Bassone. You probably know a couple of his kids.
Yeah, Mark.
He was a hoot. I sit next to him and on the board, and our little side comments. There's sometimes I'm surprised we didn't get kicked off the docket there. But he was a great guy. But the guys like that. But most of them are people I met through the chamber too, because in the village you meet trustees and stuff when you're on the village board, and but the chamber is where like all my really good relationships have come from.
Mm-hmm.
There's, I mean, I don't know, in 35 years how many different directors
I'm sure
met or worked with. But the guys that the people that have been there a long time, like Kelly Buckman and Julie Myrtle, and obviously Steve, he just retired. Mary Beth, obviously. There's guys that have gone. Tim Perry was on the board while he wasn't mayor, and Kieran Kirby, who owned Warren Electric, guys like that. And there was, when all that crap went down with the chamber, about 6 years ago or whatever, there was a few of us that were going to retire at that time. And I'm like, well, we kind of made this mess. We're going to stick it out and recommit. And it could be said that it's probably the best thing that happened to the chamber.
People have alluded to saying that you're the first one to actually say it.
Because, we got lazy. We always thought things ran themselves.
Yeah, we get comfortable, right?
Yeah, you get comfortable. I won't say lazy. I'll say comfortable.
Right.
But now, I mean, back when I first started on the board, how I got on was we had a mixer at our store, and Mike Ellis got a couple guys together. I think Griff was there and Kenny Edstein. And my brother-in-law, who was alive at the time, they recruited him. And they're like, here, come here, sit down on this sofa, And we all had a few drinks, And they're like, we think you'd make a good director for the chamber. I'm like, oh, I said, yeah, I'll think about that. And I stand up. They push me back down.
Oh, no.
It's kind of like the mob, And so at that time, that's how they had to get people to be on the board. There was only like 12 directors.
Really?
Now there's 22, and I think they actually have now there's 20, and I think they actually have 23. Because they got so many people that want to do it.
Which
that's
is
how
amazing.
much. Yeah, that's how much that has grown. Wow. So that's attributed to people like Mary Beth and past directors that have really built it up, and the commitment that we made to.
Because things constantly change, right? I mean, obviously, the time that you've served over there's we've seen the events change, all these new people, population-wise, and all of these things, and to keep a village running and debt-free through everything that's gone takes a lot of different people. Just all the names that you've mentioned. I mean, all the way back.
And the one thing I would say to people like that, I mean, the best thing you could do is get involved in something like that. And as a business, it's even better. And you don't have to, not all businesses can afford to be a big sponsor of something. But all you have to do is show up and serve beer at summer days or work the beer fest or something. And the people you meet and the relationships you make and stuff like that, they're unbelievable. They go a long way.
A long way.
And if you can fool them and make them think you're a halfway decent guy, they'll recommend you to somebody.
Right. I've been trying to do that. It hasn't worked out for me yet, but we're still pushing. We're still pushing.
They've recommended your cardboard cutout to people. Much more interesting guy.
Yes, we will come back to the cardboard cutout someday because it is still missing, and the $4 reward is still out.
Wow.
Yes, we do have some leads.
I've seen people looking through the dumpsters in the back alleyways and stuff.
They could have been looking for me. Maybe not the cardboard cutout.
I didn't say who they were looking for.
Yes, but we do have a lead, and if she's listening, I know who you are, just so you know.
Oh, really?
I do. I've uncovered it. We'll talk off air just to make sure. Funny when you say that, because I always talk about when people want to volunteer, like you're talking about, like pour beer at Beer Fest or do everything. No matter what organization you're with, I always tell people, like, especially when you don't know people or you're just starting your business or maybe you're just in a rut and need, after COVID and everything, everybody's so sheltered. Volunteering is a great way to meet like-minded people to come through. How could you not have fun working a beer tent?
Oh, yeah.
Or something, right?
Well, the funny thing is when we first joined the chamber, there was this girl that worked for the Market Journal. Her name was Joanne Horton. She was our Market Journal sales rep. We ran
The
ads
Market Journal.
Yeah, remember
I love
that
it.
thing?
I do.
They were in the building where the Vine is. And so she's like, you guys should join the chamber. You guys should join the chamber. And we're like, okay, we'll join the chamber, my wife and I. And we're like, but we don't want to just join the chamber. We want to be involved.
Right.
She's like, well, okay, I'm on the Miss Grayslake committee. You can help us out. Like, oh shit.
That's your first.
And, yeah, that was my first.
Oh.
And after working that for a couple of years, it's amazing I made it 37 years because I tell you what. But they used to do it up nice. Like Mike Lewis from Lewis Floors helped out with that, and they had a big pageant at the Country Squire. It was
I remember that.
Deal.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, but it was.
Wow.
Dealing with the moms and stuff and.
Yes, I DJ'd weddings for 30 years, remember? So
yes,
I know a little bit how that goes. Whatever happened to that? Why don't they do that?
I'm thinking because, like other things, if it's a pain in the ass, it's not worth doing.
Sure. Right. But that's funny.
I won't say that it was a pain in the ass.
No, it's just challenging, I'm sure,
But
sometimes.
it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was a pain in the ass, but... Yes. Okay, so that was your first job. So there.
Yeah.
Well, you started there, so it had to get better from there on your next.
And so
duties.
I got involved in different things. I don't remember exactly what way back then, but then once I got being a director, it got more involved, obviously. And I mean, I remember one year we were cooking brats, and they had it. It was summer days, sort of.
Right. It
was between, the fire department and True Value there on, what's that, Whitney Street?
Yep.
Yeah. And it was like late June or something, but this storm came in. It came to be like 40 degrees and like rainy and sideways. And
really?
So it had to shut everything down. I mean, like the tent, the beer tent, was just a little tent that like a 20 by 20 that the Exchange Club had, and there was a guy head of Park District at the time, and Mike Ellis were sitting at a table together, and this tent's about to blow down, and the guy from the Park District's grabbing his food, and Ellis is grabbing a picture of beer, making sure those are safe.
Well, obviously,
the tent could go, But it was. I mean, we'd lose money on the brats. We'd eat more than we'd sell and stuff like that.
But it's all about community and having some fun.
That night, I think, since they shut it down, I think the Last Chance set a record for sales that night because you could not. It was like a can of sardines in there.
Right.
Everybody went there afterwards.
Right. Well, we didn't have as many choices at that time too, and
there was pretty much none.
Right. Well,
might have been Charlie, but it was probably Bill's or something. I don't even know what it was back then.
No, now we have a lot. We have a lot more options these days.
Great options.
Yes, and that's one thing that's really changed too. That's the way that the face of downtown actually looks.
Steve Lawrence just sent me some pictures that he found of, and one of them is in the Grayslake book, but I hadn't seen the other ones in a long time, and it was he found his aunt is Joanne Lawrence, who was a village clerk there and worked at the banks in town. Just her and Dick Lawrence were always involved in the community and Lions Club, and she was our chamber director for a long time. But he sent his cousin found some pictures and sent them to him, and it's me, him, Mike Ellis, and this guy named Jeff Schroeder, who was he wasn't the head of Public Works, but he was like the main guy at Public Works. Uh-huh. And we cleaned up where the Electra restaurant had burned down at Seymour's lot right now.
Yeah.
We cleaned that whole lot up because it was a mess. There was old brick there and trash and weeds, and we put up these little pieces of picket fence to make it look nicer to try to market it because Remax had a big for sale sign on there.
Right.
But we were young and dumb and thinking we were making a difference, which I guess we were, but it was funny. We all had dark hair. It wasn't gray. We had hair, actually.
I know about that too.
Yeah.
But but somebody had to do it, and you're trying to make a difference.
And then it was funny because in the book, in the Grayslake book, they put that picture in there of us sweeping up the lot next to a picture of some guys like back in the 50s that were sweeping up Center Street. Like, we're still working at it or something.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a continuation of that.
Yeah. It was like...
That's hilarious. Okay, so we're going to do this because, as you know, that when we get about halfway through an episode, I do a little thing called. How many episodes do you think that you've listened to?
God, I don't know.
A lot?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Every one of anybody that's
all the good ones. So all 100 and.
Yeah,
who did you hate the most? Which episode have you really disliked?
I don't think I hated any of them.
Just
really.
kidding.
Any one that you were in.
That narrows. Well, there's been some that I haven't talked that much.
Actually, like this one probably. I don't like talking about myself. I like talking. I don't like talking about myself, which is one of the reasons I took so long.
Have waited.
Blackmail me.
I'm not even going to tell him how I got you to do it.
Yeah, well,
that one will be.
My agent finally got you to remove those brown M&Ms.
And now everything is better.
I don't wonder if people will even get that.
No, we'll just leave it right there. If you have to explain it, it's not a joke, right?
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of them.
Who's been one of your favorites?
Well, I liked Steve Lawrence's just because he's a homegrown guy.
Yeah.
And dorky glasses wearing, braces wearing paper boys are pretty cool. So
he's so great. I love it.
Yeah. But
at this point, Steve's picking up his phone to call you.
Yeah.
When he's listening.
His was good. There's different ones that I didn't think I'd like that I like Barb Newt's.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know her, and that's one thing good about your podcast is you can learn a lot about people.
Yes.
That I know them in passing, but I don't.
Right.
But I've probably listened to. I don't know, maybe a third of them. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fun too. Is I like when you say that because I think bringing community together and learning things about people. Like I
like Rod Smith's.
Yeah.
I think I told you that before.
Yeah, he's crazy. I'm wearing a Rod Smith.
He's crazy. I talked to him one time in Charlie's and found out he was a drummer, and I actually played drums since I was in 5th grade, and we were just talking about how drummers are kind of a little bit off crazy, and he's right.
You both are.
Yeah,
I will give you that.
He's right.
Yeah. Actually, it's really funny to look back some of his stuff because I did all the social media stuff for a long time. That he, the drummer for one of the first punk bands, ever.
Yeah.
Which is cool to look back.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wherever you're at, Craig, I actually know where you're at. But all right. So we're gonna do a little thing called the Grayslake Hot Seat.
The Grayslake Hot Seat is brought to you by Joe Velez at JPV Financial. It's often said that those who fail to plan are planning to fail. Joe Velez and his team at JPV Financial create unique financial plans that address some of the most difficult challenges that people might face as they get older. No matter what stage of life you're in, having a proactive financial plan can help navigate some of the difficult decisions you'll face, helping you live your life by design, not default. Securities and investment advisory service offered through Osaic Wealth, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Now for the Grayslake Hot Seat. Hey, thanks, Joe. Right.
This is where you ask those questions like, if you were a tree, what tree would you be?
If you were,
I'd be a dead willow.
You'd be a dead willow.
A saggy dead willow.
All right. Do you have a boat?
No.
Okay. If you had a boat, what would you call it? If you had because all boats need a name, right? What would the name of it be?
I don't know. That's a good one. Waste of money.
Waste of. I could come up with a couple others.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to come. If you think of one, just spurt it out at any time. Right. Okay. Could you consider yourself street smarts or book smarts?
I would say street smart.
Okay. If you had to have a superpower, what would it be?
Making myself disappear from this room. I've heard you ask that one, and I've heard people's different answers, and I wouldn't mind X-ray vision, but
right. That's fine. We'll take that. Just after you leave this room.
But that would be to see through the walls of my store.
Sure.
See what people are looking at.
Well, and imagine the money that you could save on your security systems then too.
And
that's probably why. Right. Exactly. Tell me a place you'd like to travel that you've never been.
I've been a lot of places. Probably someplace in Europe, maybe Italy. But we've always wanted to go to, I think it's Bora Bora, that has those huts on the water where you hang out. That's just kind of a long trip. We went to Ireland right before COVID. I
bet that was cool. Good trip.
I was with two of my sisters, one of my brothers, my wife, and a brother-in-law. There were 6 of us, and we rented this van. And we hit 5 cities in 8 days. And yeah.
That's the way to do it.
And we consider ourselves Irish, so it was a little
I like that you say you
fun.
Consider, well, at least that week we were. Right. What's the first car you ever had?
Well, the first car I ever drove.
Sure.
Because we had 7 kids in our family.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. My dad wanted to be a priest, too.
Wow.
He would have made a good one, right?
I have no comment on that.
Father will fondle him. Anyway, the first I told you he was a lawyer, but he must have been in one of these phases, and he bought a brand new 1968 Camaro. It was blue with a white racing stripe.
Wow.
So I drove that around. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool then and today.
Didn't get any chicks, but...
No, this probably has nothing to do with the car, though, Tim, just so you know.
Well, I learned that a long time ago.
But it doesn't hurt. The car doesn't hurt, that's for sure. What a cool first car to have, or to drive anyway.
Yeah, we had to share it, so I didn't get to drive it. Otherwise, I drove the mom's station wagon.
All right. Okay, where are you at in the order of kids?
I'm 3rd out of 7.
3rd out of 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom had 5 kids in 5 years.
Wow.
The first 5.
Were they getting a baseball team together, or what were they?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow. See, I'm 5'3", and I feel like that's a lot to have. So God bless them for that.
The first 2 oldest above me, they both had 5 kids.
Really?
Yeah. They're my of the 7 kids, there's 22 grandkids, and right now and going, there's 22 great grandkids.
Wow.
It's huge.
No, wait, how many do you have?
I only have 2.
You have 2.
Yeah.
Okay. I know one of them pretty well.
Yeah.
He's all right.
When he's sleeping.
Yeah. Like they used to say about me, he's a great guy when he's not around.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's all right. We could just have a bash fest on him.
Oh.
Which
that's a 2-parter.
That's a layup, though.
That's a 2-parter podcast.
We are going to come back to that, so that we're going to make sure we're going to highlight a couple good things that he does at the end, but we'll try to think of those as we move forward.
If I can remember any.
I know. Serious one. What do you wish that you learned sooner in life?
Yeah, I thought about that one too. I went to Notre Dame, and it was kind of we went on vacations, but not really big vacations. Now, it was kind of like the first time I was out alone by myself. So I was smart enough to get in to Notre Dame, but not smart enough to stay there.
Okay.
And meaning that I didn't apply myself. I was smart enough. I'd find out we'd have a test, and oh shit, and I'd study for it, and I'd get a B+ or an A on it, and go, hey, that's not that hard if you study,
If you actually work
but
at this.
It was the 70s, and
right.
I just was, I would say, immature,
Sure.
And I don't look back. I don't regret it. But I could have. You graduate from Notre Dame, you can pretty much pick your lot. But I don't think I'd be able to handle a corporate job. I love what I'm doing. I love my life that ended up. A lot of stuff happened when I knew you had to get a certain grade point average. You had to be above a certain grade point average, which I think was a 2.0. If you hit that twice in a row or 3 times within 2 years or whatever, they're like, you don't belong here. Get out of here.
Right.
So that was, that's what happened. And when I went home, it was in 1977. I'm like, crap, I don't have a job. All of a sudden found out my wife right now, who was not my wife, my girlfriend, was pregnant.
Oh.
No job. And we're going to get married.
Nice.
Yeah. So the funny story is we go to St. Joe's in Libertyville, and well, again, we want to get married, and a priest was like, well, you're kind of young, because I was like 19.
Okay.
And she was 18, maybe 17. I don't know. And he's like, well, you're kind of young. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, you got a job? I'm like, no. You going to school? No. He's like, well, I don't think this is a really good idea. I don't think I'm like, well, she's pregnant. Well, we got July 30th, though.
That's all you had to say, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we,
Got started early.
I got married. I was 2 weeks away from turning 20, and we ended up. We lived with her mom and dad for a couple months. Bought a place in Quail Creek for $24,000.
Awesome.
Lived there for 8 years. Built a house over on Hodium, and the rest is history.
That's awesome.
Just worked our ass off. And
isn't it funny how you look at your life and you can look back and go like, okay, you went to Carmel, you went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And if you had to finish that story by saying that you're going to drop out of Notre Dame,
Yeah.
get pregnant, and be married by the time you're 20?
It certainly wasn't like a plan you should follow.
No,
And
it turned out great.
It was hard. We worked 2 jobs. I'd get off work at Rudolph's and go to, I don't know if you remember the Cabriolet, the old Hitchin Post Motel. They had banquets down there.
Yep.
I'd bartend banquet. I never bartended before in my life. My wife was waitress in there. And
Wow. You do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. How fun, though. See, that's fun.
We had fun.
What's your middle name?
John.
If you had to have a theme party at your house, what would it be?
Wow. I have no idea. It would involve booze.
Right. We could have a booze party.
I don't know. I'm not big on things. Just come and have a good time.
Right. Did you play a sport in high school?
Not in high school, no.
No?
I mean, growing up, played Little League baseball, Little League football. I skied and played golf, but it was organized sports.
Gotcha. What is your favorite Grayslake event?
I'd have to say Beer Fest.
Okay, I was going to say to attend because you've worked everything.
Well, yeah, but overall, there's a lot of them that I was there for the inception of.
Right.
Like the fun run, since I was a big runner,
Yeah.
No,
I see
that
you
was
jogging
me,
around
Steve
town.
Lawrence, a guy named Jerry Clements, who was dad owned Remax. He was big in Remax Realty in this building. And then, but the Beer Fest,
Yeah.
we were looking for ways for the chamber to make money, and this guy named Brad Hanahan was, do you know him?
I know Brad.
Yeah, we were on the executive committee. It was me, him, Eileen Falson, I think Steve Lawrence, and the director at the time. And it was Brad's idea. He's like, what about a beer fest? These craft beer festivals are getting popular. And this was, 13 years ago or whatever, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, that's a cool idea. And Steve's like, well, we'd have to get the Exchange Club involved because they got a lot of good volunteers, and it'd be too big for just us to do. And so we went. The director chamber got a flyer in the mail for Munline was doing one at Tighthead.
Yep.
And so we said, well, okay, we got to go do recon,
Got to go drink beer together and find out what's going
actually,
on.
believe it or not, I was a designated driver for that. But we went and like, yeah, this is a great idea. So we enlisted Mike Pruitt to help us since we knew he knew about beer, and it took off from there.
How fun.
And now, we've got a great committee. Nodder, he's got it to where it's a real beer fest, not just a bunch of
He knows a lot about beer.
He knows a lot about a lot of things.
Yes.
He's a good guy.
He is a very good guy.
His wife's tremendous, too. She's a great help.
I look at them constantly at Beer Bazaar and say they have something going like every single night.
Yeah.
There's something going. I'm like, they are busy. I'm like, oh my God.
I look at that and I look at a couple of other guys and I'm like, God, I'm being lazy.
Tell me about it.
I want to have like a wine and design night at Rudolph's where, people can come and talk to designers without having to pay or whatever. And,
that's cool. Wow.
I just don't put this.
I know, but those people make us look bad. So you guys suck.
I know.
Yeah, we don't really like you that much.
Loser.
Let's do 2 more of these and then we'll move on. I'm not going to ask you about the second time that you were arrested because I had the newspaper clippings. Unless you
actually.
When was the second time you were arrested? Tell me about it.
Officially, out of all the time, out of a few times, I think I've only been officially arrested once, but the funniest time I got taken into the cop shop was I was about probably 17. I was driving that Camaro.
Yeah.
Like I said, I grew up in Libertyville. You know where Eddie Bauer's place is?
Of course.
He had that used to be a Pizza Hut,
yes.
And you could drink in there. And across the street was this animal hospital. So we had a 12, me and these 2 guys, 2 other guys, we had a 12-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon, and there was like 6 of them left. And we were stuffing them like in our boots, or fry boots were big at the time or something. We were stuffing them in our pant legs and stuff to go in there and drink them. Well, a cop pulls up. And he's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, we're going over there to have pizza. Well, why you parked here? Well, that lot is crowded. It's hard to get in and out of.
Right.
And he shines a light, and my buddy's got the 12-pack. Joe's got 12-pack between his legs, and there's like 6 gone. And he had spilled some on him. And the cop looks, shines a light on me. He goes, "You've been drinking that?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "What do you drool a lot?" I'm like, and I did everything he could not.
Right.
So he grabs a beer, and in those days, they're like, "Follow me to the police station."
Right.
So we follow him, and it's down the end of Cook Street there, and each kid had to call their parents. Now we lived right behind a Cook mansion in town there. So we were the closest. Of course, my dad being a lawyer, he's like going to make my ass sweat.
Yes.
So he's the last one to come. And we're walking out, and the 12-pack sitting on the sergeant's desk, and he says to my dad, he goes, "Alex, do you want the beer?" And he looks at him, and he just scoffs like at the sergeant. And so I think I got grounded for drinking shitty beer, not for getting caught.
Yeah, like what are you drinking that for?
He used to own, his law firm owned part of a tavern in Waukegan, and he used to get Coors beer when everybody liked Coors. You couldn't get it this side of the Mississippi.
That's right.
And it'd be stacked at the bottom. The tall boys would be stacked at the bottom of the basement stairs, and he never figured out how they were disappearing with 3 boys in the house. I
don't know how that would happen either.
At least he never said anything.
Right. Let's go back into. I want to talk about. Thank you for answering the questions with me. I do want to talk because we had a little short conversation about your dad off air.
Yeah.
But your dad sounds like he's an extremely extraordinary man.
Yeah, he He was a criminal attorney for many, many years. Very well respected as far as I can tell. Matter of fact, we had to force retire him like 2 years ago. He was still like 90 years old going into the office.
What the heck?
And he was very fond of a few judges, so he would have me take him to the courthouse after we made him quit to visit some of these judges. Well, I didn't have their phone numbers or anything, and we'd go down to the clerk's office and walk around. And one day I took him, and we go into Judge Rossetti's, go into her courtroom, and looking in, they've got these little glass panes you can look through. And I said, Dad, court's going on, she's in the middle of court. And he's like, well, let's just go see what's going on. He's walking with a walker. He goes through the doorway, and she jumps up from the docket. It says, bailiff, take Mr. Rafferty up the ramp there to the back room, and walks off the docket through a back door out of her thing. And I'm just sitting there going, what the?
Right.
So I sit down, and it's like 5-10 minutes, and nothing's going on in the courtroom now, and lawyers are walking in going, what's going on? What's going on?
Right.
Where's the judge? And then they're like, well, Alex Rafferty's here. And like, oh, and I'm like, well, pretty soon she opens up the door to where the ramp is by the bailiff and waves me in. We go in there. There's another judge that came down from another floor because they saw him in the hallway, and to go see him. And so I'm thinking, okay, now there's 2 courtrooms and nothing's going on. And I'm like, well, maybe we should go and let you guys get back to work. And like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, my dad's he went to Notre Dame. My grandfather went to Notre Dame. My brother went to Notre Dame. My sister went to St. Mary's across me. One of my other brothers went to Notre Dame. And so Dad's a huge Notre Dame fan. This other judge came to visit him at his assisted living place and bought him a Notre Dame robe and a blanket and everything, and took a video of him and to show the other judges. Well, that takes a lot.
That's really cool.
A judge to take time to do that.
Yes, that shows me how much he was respected by them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
that's fantastic.
We don't respect him, but
Well, yeah. What do you say? Your dad's 90?
92.
92 years old.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. And still, is he? So that's your 92 years old, and you said assisted living now.
Yeah.
But up until then.
6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, he lived on his own until then, 6 months ago. So.
Wow, sounds like a tough guy. Probably it was hard to get him to go off somewhere else, I'm sure.
He used to be, Mr. Lawyer, client privilege. He would never talk about cases and stuff like that. In his later years, he'd give you little tidbits. And he had one guy that was crazy, and he leaned over, and things weren't going the client's way, and he leaned over to my dad, and he said, when I get out of here, I'm going to kill you. And my dad said, by the time you get out, I'll be long dead and buried. Like, right. Screw you, buddy. He ain't gonna do nothing.
Right. No, that's hilarious.
Yeah, he didn't take no shit, that's for sure.
Wow, it doesn't sound like it.
Most people have no idea what to do with their aging loved one who needs help. Well, there is a solution. A company that provides care and assistance to make your loved one feel right at home. At Right at Home, their mission statement is to improve the quality of life for those they serve. They offer extensive services: personal and companion care, safety supervision and transportation, fall prevention, dressing and bathing assistance, medical reminders, meal prep, hospice support, ambulation support, stroke recovery, Parkinson's support. The list goes on and on and on. If you have an aging loved one that needs help, call Right at Home. Most people prefer to age in their home rather than moving to an assisted living or nursing home. Right at Home can make this happen. Contact Right at Home at rightathome.nlc.com or give them a call, 847-984-0103. Now back to the show.
Okay, well, while we're on the thing of family, I wanted to go back and because we're talking about events in town and we're talking about, so let's talk about your son Brendan. So obviously, so living in town, I've got to know him pretty well.
Sure.
And seeing all the different things he's done, that obviously he's learned a lot of this stuff has been passed down from you.
I wouldn't say all of it. I mean,
he's obviously a very good human.
He's got a lot of his own ideas, and people have called the bunny hop started because someone knew he did the original Crawl for Kids bar hop, and asked him for advice on doing that for a safe place for doing where the Easter baskets go for the bunny hop, and he's like, well, I'll help you, and so that's how that started. He didn't just give her advice. He said, I'll do it for you.
Right.
So,
I think the first time that I met Brennan, I was during the bunny hop, Toys for Tots. He was running that at the Vine.
Yeah.
And I was DJing there, and I was announcing something. And I don't know why. I wasn't spending a ton of time in town at the time. So here comes this guy in. And it's Brennan, obnoxious, and if I remember correctly, me and him might at that time both had a couple cocktails. I don't know.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I know, but that was the rumor anyway. But it was funny that he's like, "You give me the microphone, whatever," and so this guy starts rattling off on the microphone, and I'm like, "Who in the hell is this guy?" Like, it was hilarious. Not that I have an ego or anything, but that's my microphone, whatever.
Right.
But to be standing in there and then ever
Nobody
since
grabs
that day,
your thing.
right? Exactly, without asking anyway. Unless they have the golden ticket.
Well, you did his wedding too, didn't you?
Yeah.
You doing his wedding.
Yeah. So that was and I did it for I don't know if you know that, but I did it for a queen size mattress.
Really?
I did. I think we traded. If that was at.
I wonder inventory was short then. No, I think I do remember that actually.
At Illinois Beach.
Yeah.
I don't think I was able to do it myself, but I stopped out there because I had another wedding. But I think I stopped out there beforehand, and then.
Flying the drone around, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Just starting doing that, I think.
Yes. That time flies.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
That was a while ago.
But no, so I want to give a shout out because I believe when we're going to release this episode, we're looking at next week. So I think it's like April 2nd or something. So it'll be the weekend after this airs, I think, coming up.
Yeah, the weekend right after it. The bunny hop is April 5th.
April 5th.
And how that works is you go to the bars. All the bars downtown are participating, and if you bring some smaller items like boxes of crayons, coloring books is about the biggest thing we could put in the baskets, bubbles, chalk, that kind of thing. The things kids love, little matchbox.
I got Matchbox cars, yeah.
Matchbox. And then you get stamped at that bar. You get your passport stamped, and then once you complete a passport, it gets put into drawings where we draw. Brendan will draw, and you can win prizes. And I don't know what the prizes are so far this year, but usually there's some pretty good stuff, and people give gift certificates at the restaurants or whatever. But that's not the main reason to do it. The main reason to do it is that we end up making like 350 to 400 Easter baskets to give to a safe place, and they can distribute them to other places that need them too. And that way these little kids will get something that they probably normally wouldn't get. A lot of them are single moms. And when we first started out, we couldn't even deliver it. We fill the Rudolph's furniture truck. The bed of the truck is jammed.
Awesome.
And then Brendan takes it up to Zion, I think. But at first they wouldn't let us because they didn't want anybody, because different abuse situations stuff. Right. They didn't want anybody knowing or whatever. So this one lady would come with her Suburban and just. I don't even know how she saw how to drive because she'd have to make two trips. We'd fill one up and leave it parked behind Charlie's because Charlie's is the main center where we do the assembly, and they've got it down to such a science now. It'd take 10 or 12 people, and the whole thing's run like a machine now, and they can do 350 baskets in like less than 2 hours. Sometimes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. So people who are listening to the show right now, what they can do is, April 5th, go to any of those places because you have Dropbox. There's Dropbox for toys at every location, right?
You can get, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure you have to come to Rudolph's to get the passports. I'm not sure. how he handles that exactly. I usually hang out one of the places and take the gifts from people and stuff. But if you can't make it, you can make a monetary donation, because a lot of times we need extra coloring books or whatever. And like $20 at the dollar store goes a long way.
That's what I've done every year, and I have 3 bags full of stuff coming.
Oh yeah.
down.
And then if you can't make it, or you don't want, you want to go buy something, you could. Our back room is already starting to fill up with stuff that people have dropped off already.
Right.
So,
and if they want to make a monetary donation, they step in to see you. How do they do that?
Right. They can just write the check out to Brendan or whatever.
Okay. Awesome. No, that's cool. It's such a great event. Like it's so much fun.
all the events I've ever been involved with, and always been a chamber, and building towards bringing people to downtown or businesses and stuff like that. That's rewarding. But to see, like, I've dropped off the baskets before at the place, and to see the people that work there come out to the truck. And then you open it up, and the thing's full of that just
awesome.
Yeah, it's nothing else means anything after that.
Yes, and it's a great excuse for people to come out and have fun.
Oh, it's a riot.
Yeah,
it grows more and more each year because people find out about it. There's great, but there's VIP tickets, I think, or Beer Fest. I don't know if they're VIP, but they're Beer Fest tickets. You go in, which is $80, $100, whatever.
No, hell yeah.
It's good stuff
for sure.
But the main thing is, it's a blast. People are fun. People are, they're having a good time. And it's for a great cause.
Yes,
so.
And I want to tell everybody too that, like, last year I wasn't able to do the whole passport thing and get down and get for the prize things too. But go to the dollar store, get $20 worth of stuff. Stop at one location, just dump it all in one thing.
It's nothing.
And then go have a couple beers down the road and see some fun people.
You do. Once in a while you get a few people that, like, here's a current. They're stretching it and like.
Come on, right? We can do better, right? No, it's fun. But at least that we got it out there. So this weekend coming up, make sure to get there April 5th.
Right.
And do we know when that starts? What time-ish?
I think
7 or 8 o'clock or something like that.
Sure.
Well, how about this? I'll find it out.
You can pregame,
Right. Well, I'm going to start after we get done recording here.
Yeah, go. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. We can get started and get off going.
You can go eat at the restaurants first, and then get a good base.
Right. See, these are the kind of things. Yeah. This is called wisdom.
I have all kinds of educational things.
You could do a whole podcast just on that.
Yeah.
On how we do it. So as we get close to, like, time-wise, I want to make sure, like, what we've only scratched the surface on things that you've done, like, through all of these years of doing all of the things from the chamber to be, all of the things you've done. What are we missing that you want Grayslake to know about?
I don't know.
That's a hard question. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that.
There's a lot of things I don't want them to know about.
Right. Well, it's funny. I was talking to Tim. I said, "Is there anything that we can't talk about?" So when he came in, I have a notebook on the side here that those are just things we can't touch. So I'm trying to make sure that we navigate through that. What do you see, like, so for all the time that you've been involved in Grayslake, from the way you see the downtown evolve and how our town is growing? Because there's not very many more lots in Grayslake to build houses, or our population can't grow that much more, is there?
There is. I don't know that we'll ever get any bigger. But I'm sure there's, little pockets here and there.
Sure.
You've got that whole corner of Lake and Washington, the Parker property, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of stuff that, from what I've heard, come in and they're like, nope.
Right.
Nope.
No, and they'll do the right thing.
Yeah, they did. We've had great leadership.
We have.
Rhett's retiring. He's done a great job.
Yeah. Hey, by the time this airs, too, we'll have a new mayor. Right? See?
I should say congrats. Nah.
Yeah, we're not saying anything.
I jumped the gun.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, the whole, and if you think about it, it stems back to in my opinion, one guy, and that's Mike Ellis. And if you look at it, you look around at all these villages around here and even a little farther, there's like, he told me one time, and I don't remember the exact number, but there's like 11 maybe guys that trained under him that are village managers.
Is that
someplace.
crazy?
And if you think about all the different mayors that he's been through,
Yep.
there's never been a personality conflict to where they want to get rid of him or
Right.
to last as long as he's lasted in one job is a lot. He's got to be age wise. I know he's old, but
I never said that, Mike, just so you know.
But in his position, he's been in, I think, since like '84.
Yeah.
They originally brought him in under the guise of being like an economic development director, because they didn't want to tell Mayor Schroeder that he needed help or whatever.
That's hilarious.
But he's done a great job.
Yeah, and I like to hear you say that, because I think a lot of people need to know, like, who's responsible for a lot of these changes that we've had. And there's a lot of work and a lot of different people that goes through to make all this happen the way it does.
His crew over the years, the people that work for him and the different people, they make it easy for the board of directors the trustees to make quality decisions. And the one thing that I think he's instilled is, when you're a trustee, you're not an alderman. You're making a decision for the whole village, not for your little area, not for this guy that's been in here and wants this done because it's in his backyard. It's for the good of the whole village, not for just right at that moment, but for the future.
Right.
And he's done a good job of shaping this village.
And with solid plans looking forward.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, they have outlooks on everything. They have a good street repair plan where it rotates around and stuff like that.
Some of the stuff I've heard, I would never think of. Just takes a lot to go.
Most people, as long as they can turn the faucet on and flush, they're happy.
Exactly.
And I don't think people realize that the fire department's a different district. The village doesn't run that like they do in Libertyville. The park district is a different district. I think they maybe 7% of your taxes go to operate the village, and look what they do with that.
Right. And people have a lot of different ideas of where our money goes for taxes.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs
the
to be
people that
educated.
make me mad are the ones like, we pay so much taxes, so we should have this.
Mm-hmm.
Go talk to the schools, or go talk to whoever else gets 70% of it.
Sure. Yeah, and break down that tax bill and really look at what it's doing. We're not going to talk about that, because we'll be a big hit on some famous Facebook groups.
Get a life.
Yes. I love your compassion. All right. So as we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share with Grayslake?
No.
Well, we appreciate your service, like everything you've done. I know that we joke around a lot, but to sit in that room when you were retiring from that and see how many people genuinely respect you and all of the work that you've done.
It was nice. I hate that.
It's hard, right?
I'm a guy that's like, I try to just do my shit and stay in the background. And I mean, Mike Ellis will tell you that. I think he actually mentioned it on his.
He did.
But it was very well appreciated.
Yeah.
And
we do a lot of hard work, man.
It was nice. The people that were there were nice.
Because it all comes down to people, right? At the end of the day.
Like I said before, there's just get involved. It doesn't take you anything, and you meet so many cool people, so many interesting people that become friends more than co-workers or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And it gives you more sense of a pride in your town too.
Oh yeah.
When you get to be a part of something, you actually have a hand in doing something.
When somebody starts talking shit about Grayslake, man. Ooh. I look like a mad dog with the back of my hair and my neck going up. Like, don't you talk shit.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, they don't realize the hard work that
Right.
How do you think this village got desirable for you to want to live here?
Right. Exactly. Well, I appreciate everything you've done, and I know that you're humble about it, but it's really cool to see.
Well,
So you and a lot of good people, and you've made some great friends along the way.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
There's a beer fest meeting. I got off of all the committees and stuff when I retired, but like last year at Beer Fest, they called me on my phone. Oh, how did you put this banner up? I'm like, I'll be done, you
You'll
sons
never
of
be done.
bitches.
Right, you got to help out.
They knew how to drag me in. So.
Nice. Well, hey, I appreciate your time coming to hang out with me.
I wish I could say I was glad I finally did it, but...
Would you like to, as we're closing off, though, would you like to double the reward for the cardboard cutout to $8?
Yeah.
If we can get it back.
Yeah.
And I don't even care what condition it's in. But I think that we need to keep an eye out. The community really needs to come together for this.
The night of the bachelor thing,
yes,
I had more fun talking to that piece of cardboard than I ever did talking to you.
Well, it didn't talk back.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And it wasn't full of shit. I know that.
Right. Well, you're off of the list of the.
I'm not the suspect.
For sure. Until I see it at Rudolph's, like in the corner, like hanging back. All right. So, folks, too, we're going to leave you with this also: is that if you're buying furniture, if you go out of Grayslake before stopping at Rudolph's, I'm going to personally kick your ass. I think that people don't like. We have to shop local, especially with big ticket items like that. It's so important to our community.
It helps.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And you know what? And
I'm 68. It helped me retire. I need to retire.
Okay, get in there. Somebody needs a love seat right now. Go get one. Grayslake, hey, wherever you guys are at, thank you so much for listening. And whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on Apple, whether you're on YouTube, wherever you're at, do me a favor and subscribe. That way, every Tuesday, you'll get an alert of a new person from Grayslake to listen to. And like I said before, I really do think it builds community, especially when you know a little bit about people that you never would have got to meet before. So, and say hi to them on the road. So that's cool. And as I always end too, we never know what our friends or family or even strangers are going through on the street. So do me a favor, big random act of kindness, whether it's just smiling at the cashier somewhere, open the door for somebody, just be a good human. It makes the world go round and can change people's days. And don't forget to go to the Bunny Hop April 5th.
Get on it.
Get on it. All right, Grayslake, thank you so much. Tim, thank you, buddy.
Thanks.
And Grayslake, we'll see you next Tuesday, everybody.